Hi designers. So your client loved your mock-up, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, so you should have already spoken to your instructor about your two designs, your guy's design as well as your girl's version of the t-shirt. Remember that you're making both designs even though you're just going to be printing or producing one t-shirt. And you should have talked to your instructor about this, and you should have received 3 or 4 or maybe 5 changes that your client wants you to make, and now you're ready to actually make the design that's going to be printed onto the transfer. Now the good news is you don't have to do all of this work again. You do need a new file, and as I said before, your template is a letter size piece of paper, an 8.5 by 11. So name this last first 9.3 t-shirt design, because this is the actual design that you're going to print out. Make sure it's letter size, and in this case it's up to you whether you make it portrait or landscape. It's whichever way you think will fit better on the shirt. In my case, I'm going to go with portrait. And at this point, you might want to take an actual piece of paper and hold it up to yourself to figure out exactly how big your design should be on the piece of paper. I went with portrait because I noticed that I didn't need the whole width of the paper to make the design. I'm going to be making the girls' version of my shirt, and I noticed that it doesn't need to be this large. That might actually look a little bit strange on a girl's shirt. It needs to be a little bit smaller, so I can fit it this area for another part of the design. So what I'm going to do is, from my mock-up, I'm going to take the direct selection tool and select all of these different objects by holding shift and just clicking on all of the different objects, making sure I get each different piece. Alright, and you should see that all the little anchors become active like this. Copying it and pasting it. And it doesn't matter if it comes out small, because again, the beauty of Illustrator is that designs are scalable. Oops, there we go. Hold shift, that way the proportions don't get out of whack, and make it bigger. Move it over. And the reason you want to do this all together is because of the sizing. I'm sure you spent a lot of time making the composition, making the spacing just right on your design, and you don't want to have to redo all of that. So you want to resize it and move this all together. Now, something else you need to know about the transfer is that the background of the transfer is white. So in my case, the girl's shirt has a white background, so that's going to go just fine. But if you have a colored shirt, you need to think about the background of your design. Because if I say I wanted the girl's shirt to be green to go along with the shoe, I'm just going to change this real quick to green. Now in my mock-up, that was really easy to change it and to have everything go great. You know, maybe this color doesn't go, but that's fine. But when you're actually printing out the shirt, you're going to have all of this white space on your design. So if it works for you, you could cut the transfer right along the edges here and just use the white space. That would be just fine, but it's something you need to think about. If you want there to be a color in behind it, you can just simply use the rectangle tool, make a large rectangle, change the rectangle to the color of your shirt. You're not going to be able to match the exact color of the shirt. The only thing is, even a black on a black, it's not going to match. So you probably want to go with a color that coordinates with the shirt rather than trying to match the color. That way it looks like you did it on purpose. Because of course you're a designer and you think about these things. And send that to the back. And then this color would be become the background for your design. But again, you're not just going to cut a square and slap a square on your t-shirt. You need to think about how you're going to cut this. And I have a couple different ideas for mine. I like going along with the design that I already have here, maybe cutting around these splotches, maybe even cutting some more white splotches out to make a secondary design that's not even visible right here. But it's something that you need to think about at this stage of how you're going to cut this and how you're going to place it on the t-shirt. Now you notice I have the whole second half of this page, and so that's another thing that you need to think about, how you're going to utilize all the space on the transfer. And in this case, I want to use the splotches here, or the pattern, my pattern background, and carry that throughout the rest of the design. Actually, I don't need to copy it from my mock-ups. I can copy it from right here and paste it. And so I'm going to place this maybe on the back of the shirt, maybe on the side of the shirt, just to give it a little bit more visual interest. And I could even layer these and maybe go back to my sources, change the color. I'll show you real quick. The computer's kind of running slow right now. I don't know why. And so I could change this to be another coordinating color in my design, like this orange. And now I have a whole secondary design here that I can put on another place in the shirt, making the shirt itself more interesting. So again, your whole design needs to fit on one transfer. You can cut the transfer apart. You need to think about how you will cut the transfer and where the transfer will be placed on your design. And as you're doing this, of course, you want to incorporate those design changes that your client made, those suggestions that your client made, and continue consulting with them because you want your t-shirt to look the best that it can. Once you're done with this, you can turn this in. Your instructor will help you print it. And before you can make your t-shirt, you need to do the next assignment, which is 9.4 placement proposal.